I was kicking Keith Noonan's butt earlier, and then he had a freaking his wide receiver for the Bengals put up like 55 points, something ridiculous. So now I'm losing. Like, it's not even good.
Yeah,
I went from being up like 65 to 35, then I'm down like 85 to 15 right now.
I got my balls busted because, George didn't put in his tight end. Yeah, I was doing grown-up shit. That's what I was doing. Joe, could you just move his mic so I could read the comments? Just move it either back, forward. Perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful. That works. Hello and welcome to the Freemasons Podcast with your hosts, Right Worshipful Brother George Marjorie.
Worshipful Brother Joe.
No Kenny.
No Kenny.
No Kenny. He's doing some stuff with his kids.
He's got some high karate stuff going.
This is like the first time in 3 weeks we've been up here. Like, all of us. I know I did the Lost Book of Enki last week, but...
Yeah. And last week I had my 26...
Colonoscopy?
No. Oh, don't get me started on that whole thing. I had one of those things that they send you in the mail.
Was it a shitty ending?
Don't get the Cologuard thing. Not only is it just an awful experience, I'd rather be knocked out and have things stuck up my rear because it wouldn't be the first time. But
this time was unwilling, though.
But they harass you. Since they sent me the kit over the course of like 2 weeks, I think I got five mailings.
There's a kit?
Oh, there's a whole process. So
what?
You've never seen the commercials on TV for Cologuard?
No.
So in essence, they send you. Do we want to get into this?
This is what I get to look forward to.
Is this what we want to get into right now?
This is what I get to look forward to in 15 years?
15 years. Go screw.
Go on.
So they
I'm
send
intrigued
you.
now.
So if you're under 50, which I am, thank you very much, you don't have to get knocked out and have the full colonoscopy. They send you, in essence, like a kid's potty.
Okay.
That you have to set up on your toilet.
Okay.
With a bucket that goes into it, and you have to poop into a bucket.
Okay.
And then you have to take this thing that looks like a mascara thing, scrape the poop, put it in a sample, screw it up, and then take this other preservative solution, pour it in the bucket with the rest of the poop, and then seal it up and mail it back. Poor UPS guy had to come pick up a box of my poop. But it's like, I can't freaking do this. Like, I'd rather be knocked out and have things jammed up me.
Men, this is what you get to look forward to in your, 50?
Actually, no, it's,
5?
We'll do a little PSA here. You know, men 45 to 50, they just changed the range. It used to be colonoscopies 50 and older, but they just changed the recommendation on the screening down to 45. Okay. But a lot of insurance companies won't pay for the colonoscopy if you're under 50, so they send you a box to poop in.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was fun.
I do that just to the people who don't like who are on Discord.
It's like a freaking whole NCIS thing I had to do. I had to put on gloves. I had to put the Vicks under my nose. Like, it was horrible. It was like a freaking science experiment. I wanted to put on goggles too.
I box up my poop and send it to my Discord people.
There you go.
Hey Jim, how you doing?
But it's awful. But men, if you're 45 or older, please go get screening. Early detection is the key. Thank you.
True story. I'm glad we kind of got that out of the way. It was a shitty topic, but moving on.
Yes.
Today's episode, I feel like we're forgetting something. It's been so long. Episode 206, what to do if you have a lodge master who is creating disharmony in your lodge. Does it happen? Absolutely.
Yes.
There are masters that should not be masters, and there are masters who just... I don't want to say that they shouldn't be masters. They just were never educated in the proper etiquette of a master and how to run things. Because, quote me, I don't remember who said the quote, but I think I've said it on here before that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And unfortunately, in Masonic lodges, the master, with the exception of a Grand Lodge, pretty much has absolute power. Am I right on that?
Yes, you are.
So we're going to talk about how to address it if if you're not a master. And this actually came through as a question to me.
Before we get into that, did you have any Apple reviews or anything you'd like to?
I think I did.
That might have been the thing that you were forgetting.
Maybe. I also have a lot of YouTube reviews too, or not YouTube reviews, or subscribers. I'll get to them. I think I'll probably write them all down because there's quite a few because we've been absolutely silent for a couple of weeks. I got to write them all down and then I'll give them a shout out next episode. But this time we have Apple reviews. Let's cover them. Let's see here. I don't even remember where I left off. Trying to think here. Do you remember where we left off?
Not a clue.
Now I did Frankie the Barber. I know I did Heath Biker because he just said great information. BC99XJ. He said, I really enjoy the podcast, even though I'm new on the journey. And yes, I did cover that one, but I still want to thank him. Irishman 1234567. He was from Virginia. He's only 10 episodes in, but I want to give him a bad habit. I feel like I've read this one, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to read it again anyway because there's only one other than that. It's information, 5-star review, informative and understanding. 5-star review. Hello from Ohio. I've been listening for a little while since I joined Freemasonry back in January of 2021. Absolutely love this podcast and is the only one I'm excited to see the notifications about being a new episode.
That's sweet.
Cheers. Being a truck driver and traveling all the time, it really makes me appreciate you guys bringing up the subjects or ideas and talk about that people wouldn't think of. Probably referring to our alternate universes. I think I have read this one, but we'll continue. Definitely recommending you to a lot of brothers I meet over the road. I ask for a toast to you three and include Puppet George. Yeah.
Hey! Throw it at you.
Aaron Nudemeyer, most excellent podcast, 5-star review. Great podcast. It helped me on my journey into the Masons. Well, welcome to the suck. But anyway, for all those who in the Apple review and rate us, well, preferably review. If you can give us a 5-star review, we'll read it live and we will toast you. So, Mr. Joe.
Yes, sir.
Run it.
Brother, right hand to arm.
To arms.
Ready.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire could fire. Fire on. That's nice. Together, brother. Vivat, vivat, vivat.
All right. I think that's all I have.
All right.
I will pick up on other things because I have a bunch I have written down. Like I said, I have a bunch of things that I just the last 3 weeks. I mean, between me doing my DHS training, you running for marathon, Ken's reprogramming himself or whatever the hell he's doing. We've just been chaos. I haven't had a chance to really keep up on everything, but I promise for those who I haven't shouted out to, I'm going to be writing you down, and we will cover you definitely next episode. Will you be live another 24? What does that mean?
Will you live another 20? There was some rap lyrics going back and forth. Today is a good day. Didn't have to use the AK. Ice-T. Did you mess around and get a triple-double? Today was a good day.
Got it. So anyway, let's go. Did you listen to the Yankee episodes?
I have not listened to the most recent ones. I've been here for a lot of the other ones, and the other ones I have
pretty
listened
crazy.
To. But I think the last two, prior to
last
this one that you did solo, I was here for those. Yeah, we're just starting to get into the flood.
Yeah, last time I just finished it. That was a long-ass tablet, so we're going to get into the next one pretty soon at some point. But
nice.
Today's episode, we're going to be discussing... that's where the question came from. Hold on. Let me read the question for you. So I'm not going to disclose this brother, but I'm going to just say I got your message, and I did respond. And he's a brother from a lodge in Arkansas.
Arkansas.
He just said, started your podcast. Love it. Do you have anything on the worshipful master being overbearing, out berating and belittling members? So I had responded back with, I said, ooh, that's a tough one. Is there multiple people complaining? He said, unfortunately, yes. However, his term expired in December, yet his expectations are to operate things from the secretary's position if elected there.
Don't elect him there.
Yeah. I asked him, as Masons should do, have you ever had a conversation with him? You ever talk to him about it? You ever say, hey, man.
Whisper good counsel.
What the hell? Whisper good counsel. And he said he resigned from his position because of the treatment that he's been getting. It's a precarious situation because our digest keeps members from campaigning for office. Yeah, that's across the board. You can't campaign, but you can say, Joe.
You can just put it out there. Is there anybody interested in these positions? Does anybody want to make it known that they're available to be elected into. You can even put a ballot together.
And it's not even, you can even say, and it's not campaigning, but I am willing to serve.
Yes.
If elected, or if wanted to be master, secretary, whatever, I'm willing to serve. That is not campaigning.
Right.
As long as you leave it at that.
Right. And I believe the way that the Connecticut Grand Lodge rules and regs are written is you can't campaign in open lodge. So there have been times where I've been to lodges where in the meal before the meetings, back when we used to do that, they would have a discussion down there and say, is there, if anybody is willing to serve at an elected position this evening, please make it known now.
I didn't think there was in our rules and regs there was anything about I think there's no rules and regs about campaigning or politicking.
I'm fairly certain there is, because somebody tried to throw it at me one time during lodge when I asked, is there anybody willing to serve? And they're like, you can't do that. And then I quickly read the reg back to them or something close to it. So I think there is actually something in there.
Just saying, for campaigning or politicking, what they mean, and I want to be clear about being the difference between being willing to serve and politicking is politicking and or campaigning would be vote for me, I'll lower your dues. Vote for me, I'll get us whatever for the lodge. I'll get us this. I'll get us new regalia. Or, campaigning in a sense is pick me because this is what I can do for you.
Or really just going out there, hey, I really want to get this position. Will you please vote for me? Like that too.
We had a situation where a brother who did something extremely unmasonic, and I'm going to keep names off the grid here.
That's no fun.
He basically, in a sense, cornered the family member, I believe it was the wife of a brother, and said, you shouldn't let him run for this position because it's going to consume all of his time. That shit will get you thrown out of a Masonic lodge, and that'll get you tossed out.
That's like anti-campaigning, or campaigning against.
Smearing, It's, you can't do crap like that. That's just no good, and that's highly unmasonic. So those are the things you really cannot do. Anyway, continuing on, he says, I've reached out to him. He says it's a conversation. He said it's a conversation in person. I offered several meeting types. He has neglected to respond. So basically, he's ducking out of having this conversation. I said, have any other... I had said, I see you got the way I see is you got two options. Find someone to run against them or to reach out to your Grand Lodge or District Deputy and let them know what's going on. Get brothers to join you in the conversation with the DD. It should be some sort of an intervention.
There should be. And I whenever you're faced with the adversity in your lodge or disharmony, the first counsel I would always give is, one, remember your obligations.
Right.
Whether it has to do with the piece about no contentions, whispering good counsel, instructive tongue, attentive ear, all those things that you learn the lessons throughout the degrees. So start there. After that, I think it's something that before getting your district deputy or Grand Lodge involved, perhaps you go to the past masters. Most lodges have at least one past master that shows up. Most of them have a past masters committee, through my experience. And they may not meet regularly, but they usually do when, there's a major issue or something coming up. As a matter of fact, my mother lodge has a past master Zoom meeting this upcoming Wednesday where we're just there's no crisis or anything going on. We're just going to get together, talk, and figure out the future of the lodge, if there's any issues that need to be addressed. And past masters should meet regularly, and one of their duties is to provide counsel and guidance to the master of the lodge. So if it's something that's creating a lot of disharmony, if it's something that's really interfering in the running of the lodge, the past masters are probably the first group that I would personally go to and say, hey, how do I handle this? Or how do we as a lodge handle this? Because it's not just me.
Right.
And get their good counsel. That's why past masters should show up and sit on the sidelines and guide, not try to relive their year, but help the officers out. Let them navigate this.
I only see one problem with that. And yes, the past masters they should be there for mentors and teaching everything, but understand that in a Masonic lodge, past masters have zero power. Zero. They can't, enact or change anything that they can't change anything that the master does. A past master, in a sense, is powerless. And even, let's be real, as a past district deputy, I'm powerless.
Right.
So
but
if shit's hitting the fan, like, I can...
a master may take advice and counsel from a past master more readily than he would a...
But he also could tell you to shit in your hat, too.
He absolutely can. But, the ultimate power that the past master has and any member of the lodge has is they get a vote. Any master mason in the lodge gets a vote. And
so we got 2 new guys joining in for the first time. I want to just give them a shout-out. Andrew Colvin and Isaiah Almaza. If I spelled that wrong, it's par for the course.
I think you were
screw
close.
Everybody's name up anyway. So awesome. Andrew says, I never joined in live before, just earned my 3rd degree this past Friday. Hey, let's toast him.
Awesome. Congratulations.
I'm going to toast him my coffee. Unless you want the Glenda, though. You want the Glenda?
No, I'll go with
All right, we'll go with the coffee.
Just careful when you slam it.
There's some stuff in it, though. Don't you worry. So,
you want
brother,
to do this?
Right hand arms.
2 arms.
Ready?
Ready?
Aim.
Aim.
Fire, good fire, follow. Together, brother. Viva, viva, viva. Welcome to the family.
Welcome.
I
Just
had
remember,
5.
for as little as $5 a month, you too can join Discord, where you'll get access to our Discord channels. You'll get the exclusive interviews from Gang Green and the Freemasons podcast pin, which is gold tone. All for as little as $5 a month by joining Patreon.
And he also said I had 5 past masters attend. That's awesome. That's good. Sometimes these poor past masters, they take their degree and then they go on an extended Masonic vacation and they never come back.
I never got a Masonic vacation.
No, I did. I've been taking one. So
I think I'm taking one next year.
Isaiah, hello all. I'm new to the channel. Commented on a previous video about joining and took your guys' advice and filled out the form in the Ohio Grand Lodge page. Thanks for the info.
Awesome.
Hey.
Thank you.
Cheers. We're going to give you a cheers because when you become Master Mason, we want to know about it and we will toast you as well.
And good luck on your journey.
Andrew Colvin, he gave us the rock on.
Ronnie James Dio. Metal!
Oscar, what's going on, brother? So let's get back into this. Let's just talk about masters being overbearing and belittling. First off, that's no way a Mason should ever act or talk. So this is why it's very important to do your screening of any Mason that comes in the door, because you shouldn't walk in the door as to be a Mason and act like you're king shit, if you will.
Yeah, and ultimately, it's not only would screen them when they come through the door, but, while I do believe in the progressive line, I don't think it's an absolute. And if somebody is truly violating rule number 1 and being an a-hole, there's a good chance that there were signs of that prior to them getting to the senior warden chair and being in the position to be elected master of the lodge.
Correct.
So do yourselves a favor. If you start to see those behaviors and those characteristics in somebody, talk to them early on. Don't wait until your annual meeting in the December, the election night, and then be like, I don't know if this guy's ready, because that's going to create disharmony.
Oh, yeah.
And you're going to be like, why didn't anybody talk to this guy?
Well, and again, I don't want to use names. I hate using names, and we definitely don't want to belittle each other or drop names on people. We had a brother, and you know who I'm talking about, who basically came into our lodge, and he's a gung-ho, he's a good Mason, meaning ritual-wise and everything, but one of the things he had said was, when I get to the junior warden's chair, I'm going to be a dick. And
has he made it to that chair yet?
No,
he hasn't.
Pretty much sealed his fate. I'm going to be a dick. Like, that's not what we want to hear. That's not what Masons want to hear. So I'm going to come in and be a freaking, be an asshole to try to get what I want or get the lodge to conform to a certain way. The best way to ever get Masons or anybody in general is by, what would you say, reasonable persuasion.
Reasonable persuasion, but on top of that,
you got to smile
best,
so I know something's coming.
the people that are the best at persuading others, when you make them think they came up with the idea, if that's an art form that not everybody possesses, but it's one of the people I work with, who was the claims president of the company that I work with, he was a master at that.
Right.
He'd like put some feelers out there and kind of like plant the seeds, and then somebody would make the connection and say, hey, what if we did this? And
right.
Great idea. Let's do that. But like he planted the seeds along the way, so
that's awesome.
It's not something that I've always been good at.
I've always
things
been
happen organically, but
again,
you got to get buy-in.
When I was master, not so much district rep, but when I was master, one of the things I did was I would come up with a proposal or an idea. I would say, "Hey, why don't we try this?" And then, no, we can't. You got the huff and gruff from the. And I said, well, what do you got? You got a better idea? What's your idea? Right. You know, and I'm not saying it as a condescending asshole. What do you think we should do differently? And 99.9% of the time, they didn't have an answer.
Right.
So, well, then, if you don't have an answer, the only logical thing is let's give mine a try.
Exactly.
And understand that you have a year, an entire year. I mean, let me tell you, when you hit that chair, it blows by stupid fast. And I had 2 years back to back, which was great.
I did too.
Yeah. You kind of got sheep amidst the wolves. You got thrown to the you got thrown to the dogs your year, but
not by design.
Not by design. But, you know, you try things out. You know, I luckily had 2 years in order to enact everything that I wanted to do. And realistically, and again, please don't take this as me tooting my own horn. But a lot of the things that I wanted to do, I was right by the addition of Saturday meetings and changing a first from only going to third Thursday, which we met once a month. You're never going to get anything accomplished in one meeting a month. Never going to happen.
No,
you literally meet.
It's
8
hard
times.
to get anything accomplished, right?
So I added the first Saturdays, and they were like, well, what do we do on the first Saturday? The reason being is because I had a pipeline to Sikorsky. And if you look,
that's
how many members of our lodge right now?
Yeah, that's the lifeblood of this lodge right now. Which is a good thing. Like, and it's worked out really well.
So, but it was an idea that I had, but I didn't force it on anybody. What I ended up doing is I ended up getting people to see things the way I wanted to see. And that's how a master should conduct himself, is to keep harmony, but get people to see things from his point of view. It's reasonable persuasion is what you do.
Right.
To actually try to jam things down people's throat. No, this is the way we're doing it because I'm the master. You're doing one of two things. You're going to disillusion your entire lodge to think you're a douche, which
might be true in some cases.
Might be true in some cases. And two, what do you think the next guy's going to do when he's elected into the chair is going to do? He's going to go and reverse everything that you did.
Right. You want to, as master, if you're going to institute something, One, talk to the other officers in line with you. Because, like you said, you don't want to put something out there for a year, half a year, whatever it is, and then have it just disappear the following week.
Correct.
Talk to the officers behind you,
right,
and see if it's something they're interested in continuing.
Right.
Because then you're automatically going to get support from them.
Correct.
Talk to your past masters. The guys that have been around a long time. I always rib Right Worshipful Brother Ray Collette, who is current potentate of Pyramid Shriners number 9. Cool. I always rib him because he was the naysayer. He was the guy that, no, we're not doing, no, we did that before, it failed. Mm-hmm. I would talk to him like a few weeks out before I proposed something to get all of his counterpoints, so I had counterpoints to his counterpoints. But occasionally, more than occasionally, he'd actually give me something that I hadn't thought of, that just by taking his idea, incorporating it into what I wanted to do. You
amended what you were thinking.
Yeah, and it helped me, and I gained his buy-in. And you know Ray, he's pretty loud and persuasive.
Yes.
You want to talk about reasonable persuasion, he's loud persuasion.
Yeah.
But if you get him on your side, he carries a lot of weight. Right. And he carries a lot of respect. You get him on your side, people are going to go along with him. If they don't quite know you enough to know your direction, what you want to do, but he backs you.
Right.
You're in a good position. So involve people. I guess we're almost talking about how not to become that douchey master.
In a sense, yeah. So what if you're on the opposite end of that? What if you're the mason in the lodge? Let's just say you're a junior deacon and your master is being a overbearing Napoleon, if you will. We'll go PC. We'll call him Napoleon.
Okay. Figures you picked the short guy.
Yeah. Hey. No, but in all seriousness, what do you do? For me, the first thing I'm going to do is it's tough because in that position, you don't want it to seem like you're going against the master's back, right? You don't want it to make it seem like you're having this little collusion thing, but I think it would be very good to. I do believe in what you were saying with the past masters. Talk to him like, hey man, this is how I'm feeling. He's kind of being overbearing. He's kind of being belittling. And talk to the past masters. Let's say, for instance, your lodge doesn't have past masters. There is nothing wrong with brothers having conversations outside of lodge to say, hey man, this is how I'm feeling, and getting a gauge of, because
you're not trying to plan a mutiny. You're not trying to plan a mutiny, but oust him or some coup. You're like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. How do you guys have you come across this before? How do you handle it?
And I put it like this, okay? How many times have I gotten hot about something, and I call you up, and you're like, because again, you're the voice of reason, and you're like, no, George, you're being an asshole. How many times has that happened?
It's happened a lot.
It's happened a lot,
but not so many recently.
You've I've definitely toned it down.
Matured.
Haven't matured. I think more so our lodge has gotten to a place where our lodge is pretty harmonic.
Absolutely.
With the exception of clam bakes, but we're going to get into that.
Oh, don't get me started on that. Did you hear about the hot dog? That's off air.
That's off air. But there are situations that occur that and me and you, I think, are on the same page with that one. But I'm just saying, we're not really in situations anymore where it's unharmonic. Like it's pretty chill in Morningstar Lodge.
Yeah. It's
not what it was. How long ago?
Pre-me.
2009, 10, 11. I don't remember. A long time ago.
Right.
It's not like that anymore. So realistically, I really got nothing to complain about. We also don't have a Grand Master that was a douche canoe either that created disharmony in the state of Connecticut.
Right.
So realistically, that doesn't really happen, except for what Andrew Colvin said about the chili cook-offs.
You know what? Let's talk about something positive, since we're talking about competitions and votes and things like that. Did you happen to see what happened on Thursday night on our community page?
No.
There was a hair versus hair.
Yes, the hair competition. Yes.
And while it was a little close, and Ken for like maybe a minute or two had a slight lead.
I switched my vote.
I crushed him. In the end, I crushed him.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close at the end. So, and I got some bonus points for the people's eyebrow. I got some bonus points for the excellent beard game that I had going that night. But yeah, that competition I won, and surprisingly I didn't look away for 15 minutes and come back and have like 100 votes in Ken's favor, like the chili cook-off. John Gates, cheater. Cheater. But no, like a perfect example. You know that in this lodge the trustee thing has been a little contentious. I think that's fair. Description of it.
Right.
I stood up and gave a report as the lead trustee the other night and said, here's where we are and here's the direction that I want to go. And I explained why, and I gave them all the ins and outs, and I gave them the recommendation of the financial planner.
Yep.
And people were like, yeah, okay, let's do that. And it was easy.
Yeah.
It was simple.
Sometimes, people in general, you work things up in your head that you feel it's going to go a certain way. I can't tell you how many times I've worked myself up into a frenzy where I thought it was going to go a certain way. I'm like, all right, I'm ready for battle. I'm ready to go to war. And then I get there and they're like, yeah, okay. And you're like, wait, well, shit. Why the hell did I get myself all wound up for nothing?
Yeah.
Went exactly the way I thought I was going to go.
Well,
or the way I wanted it to go.
That happened to me when my interim year as master was ending.
Right.
And prior to the vote for master, I had to present a budget for the following year, which we did at the annual meeting. And included in my budget, I was increasing dues and cutting stipends for the paid officers' positions. And I had a whole page of points, counterpoints, everything I wanted to discuss. And I read it in, and 5 minutes it was voted, and I'm like,
awesome.
I exhausted myself preparing for it.
Right.
And then it was like somebody just came and popped my balloon. And like, oh, yeah. So.
You know what, though, on the flip side of that, though, if you wouldn't have
they would have eaten me alive if I wasn't prepared.
It's exactly
I think they knew that I was prepared.
Right. So they lay off. They're like,
And you don't always have to be right. You just need to be more prepared than the other person.
Right. Josh McCrae, I feel like the chili cook-off is the new polar. It is. We're going to keep that. So what to do?
And Josh McCrae is the new Messner.
So what the?
How about that, Josh McCrae?
So what to do? Well, and again, getting back on what I would do is I talk to a Mason just to, outside of the lodge to just see if maybe what I'm feeling or the way the way I'm perceiving the master of the lodge, and this goes for wardens as well. The way I'm perceiving it is correct, because there's many times where I've perceived things and you've called me out and be like, "Nah, dude, you're looking too deep into it."
Sometimes, and I'm not saying this personally to you, but sometimes it's you. It's not them. It's you.
Right.
So, as Michael Jackson once said, start with the man in the mirror. See how I worked that in? You like that? Somebody listening to this right now is thinking in their head, hee hee. You're welcome. And if you weren't, you are now.
All right. So,
see, you got it in your head now. You got it in your head. But while you're recovering,
I got
you good? Okay.
So, why, you got something else you want to add?
I was just going to say, on this topic, I wasn't going to add any more Michael Jackson songs.
Please don't.
I was going to, never mind. Self-regulation is kicking in right now. No, but I was going to say, if you're having trouble and you don't know what to do and you just can't come to, you can't reconcile it, and you've determined that it's not you.
Right.
You know what? One of the greatest things and underutilized tools that we have in Freemasonry is traveling. Take some time, travel to other lodges. Rather than letting the disharmony in your lodge eat at you and turn you off the Masonry, go visit other lodges in your district. Go outside of the district. Find that love of the craft somewhere else. And there's a good reason why the terms are in some jurisdictions. I think it's 2 years, but it's either 1 year or 2 years. You could ride that out for a year.
Absolutely.
And
give it a year.
Go enjoy somewhere else.
Right.
If you've exhausted all other options.
With that being said, in regards to you getting together and asking another brother and seeing if it's just you, let's just say, for instance, he's like, "Yeah, man, he's being kind of a douche." Even then, I would say, "Hey, man, maybe we should talk to the wardens and see how they're feeling," because now you're moving up the food chain in a sense. You want to talk to the wardens, be like, "Hey, man, this is how the what do we call them, the non-NCO officers, I don't know what the hell you call them, the junior officers, thank you.
Yeah.
This is how the junior officers are feeling. They're feeling, me, this guy, we're feeling like this guy's kind of being, our master's being kind of being an ass,
Right.
Bring it to the wardens, and that does one of two things. One, you're working up the lower order. Maybe the wardens agree with you, maybe they don't. But the wardens, that gives them the option to go talk to the master.
Right.
You have, this way it's not, because the last thing you ever want to do is bombard a Mason or anybody. You don't want to bombard them. You don't want to, the worst, you've seen the freaking show Intervention. Mm-hmm. The minute they bring that dude in the room and everybody's sitting in a circle, what's the first thing he does?
Gets all defensive.
Flipped out and gets defensive. If you get one or two people it may come to that now. You know what I mean? That may very well come to that.
It could, but that's not how you want to start off.
No, it's not. You don't want to come out the gate like that. But you let the warden say, "Hey, man, there's a couple," and and you'll get the real, as a warden, once you have that conversation with the master, you'll get a real feel as to who he is. Because the one thing he's going to do, he's going to go, "Oh, F them." If he gets defensive, he gets nasty. The writing's on the wall. But if he sits there and goes, "Oh man."
He might not even be aware.
He might even be aware. I was going to say, people there's times where you've told me, "Hey, George, I'm being an asshole." And I'm like,
"Really?
You're
like, I am? That's not
what?
That may not be what you intend, but that's how you sound."
Yeah, you're.
That's where I'm not saying you're an a-hole. I'm saying you're acting like an a-hole.
Yeah, you were kind of an asshole to that bartender. Am I really? Yeah, I'm not saying you're an asshole. I'm saying you're acting like
right. Or it could be perceived that you are being.
You're kind of mean to that guy and his girlfriend. I was. I'm not saying you were an asshole, but
I could see how somebody could take it that way.
But anyway,
no, but it's true.
It's
they
true,
may
though.
not be aware.
They might not be aware.
That's why you always start with whisper good counsel. You're like, wow, did I come across that way? And maybe I owe somebody an apology. Let me go make it right.
Right.
Give him a chance to make it right.
The other thing to do is, and you'll also get a gauge right on that, because once that master, if he does realize I'm being an asshole or being creating disharmony, I don't keep using the A word, but he's creating disharmony. The first thing that he probably will do is walk down from the east and come over and shake your hand back, man, brother, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was being like that to you. I apologize.
Right.
If he doesn't and he gets more contentious,
then you were right.
Now you have a problem. You were right. In which situation you should get. That's a tough one. That's you got one of two options at that point. You could sit down with the other members of the lodge or stand upright in lodge. And I mean, that's what lodge is for. Honesty, harmony, all that stuff. You stand up at lodge in front of every Mason in the lodge and you'd say, Worshipful Master, I've addressed this with the junior warden and the senior warden, and he may gavel you down. I want to be clear about that.
And he has every right
And he has every right to. And if he does, you sit down and shut up.
Right.
But let's just say he entertains it. You stand up, you say, listen, Worshipful Master, this is how I've been feeling. This is how a couple of the other brothers have been feeling. You addressed it with the junior warden and the senior warden, and you air it out in front of the lodge. And you air out the dirty laundry in the lodge, and you don't close that lodge until it's done. A good master will allow that to happen.
And what a good master would likely do as well is put the lodge at ease so that it's not necessarily on the official record.
Correct.
And you talk it out and you hug it out as brothers because that's the Masonic thing to do.
If that goes
awry,
if that doesn't work, what I would do, and this is my personal opinion, this is what I would do, is I would write a formal letter to the district deputy, and I would get every officer and or Mason who feels the same way to sign it, and I would present it to the DD. And let the DD pass it to the Grand Master and let him decide. Because I think the only person that can pull a master out of his position, if need be, is a Grand Master. Stop me if I'm wrong.
No, I believe you're correct. I think the district deputy in that case can make the recommendation or at least consult. But
here is the problem with all this. And I understand that there are many lodges that are anti-Grand Lodge. I do think that the Grand Lodge should be there as a tool to help a lodge. I don't think they need to get involved in the affairs of lodges. But sometimes they do need to get into the affairs of lodges.
Exhaust all other options.
Exhaust other options first.
And make sure it's not something petty.
Right.
Like, if it's got to be something pretty serious, bordering on a Masonic offense.
Correct.
If you're going that route. Like, let's say, I don't know.
Hey, Blaine, what's going on?
He's making maybe the mass, and this is all hypothetical. This has not happened anywhere in my that I've seen.
Right.
Like, maybe the master is making racial or ethnic slurs during lodge. Maybe he's referring to a brother who's gay with some derogatory term. You can't allow that to go on. And those, like you said, borderline, they're right there with the Masonic offense. But don't do it because, like, I don't know, I won't name names, but when I was senior deacon, and those of you that are Masons know the senior deacon sits between the master and the treasurer. The master and treasurer, who happen to be cousins, and I'll leave it at that, they know who they are, decided to engage in a flatulence war between the East and the treasurer, which I got caught in the crossfire of, which wasn't very pleasant. But I'm not going to go to the Grand Lodge over something like that.
In regards to racist and or bigotry type or xenophobic type slurs or conversation, that is something I could tell you right now. You ever pulled that shit in our lodge, you'll catch a freaking beating in the middle of a closed lodge.
Yeah, no,
we don't play like that up here.
You don't do that.
That's a no-go zone, and you will get somebody. You will probably catch a beating in this lodge.
Now the way that I would handle something like that is, if you were truly offended and if something truly happened like that, I would stand up. And before doing anything else, I would make a request to the Worshipful Master. Can I please request that the lodge go to refreshment at this time?
In which case, you'll get your whooping because we don't play
right. But this way, it's off the record. You're at refreshment.
Right.
And keep in mind, the other things to keep in mind is keep in mind the roles of your principal officers.
Right.
If it's something that happens during lodge, senior wardens there to assist the Worshipful Master in opening and closing his lodge and has a lot of power. If you're at refreshment, which could be in the middle of a meeting, or it could be any time you're outside of the meeting. Your junior warden has authority and jurisdiction over the brethren at that time. So,
I mean, realistically, I think if it wasn't the master or somebody else who dropped a comment like that or dropped a statement or something along those lines, you'd be thrown out of this lodge and don't ever come back. Like, it'd be just that simple, because at least in our jurisdiction, if a master throws you out of lodge, there's got to be Masonic charges pending as to why he got thrown out of lodge, in which case, once that came to light, you're gone.
If he forbids you from entering, yes, he can ask you to leave and say, hey, I think, why don't you take the rest of the night off, and when cooler heads prevail, we'll talk.
Right.
That's well within his. He can't
Don't
force
stick
you to
around
leave.
after lodge.
Right. Well, I had an incident.
Don't stick around after lodge.
I had an incident during one of my years as, I forget which year as master, but there was some inappropriate discussion between two brothers of the lodge, and there were two officers.
Right.
And once I heard it, I paused to process what the hell that I just heard.
Right.
And I immediately said, Brother Junior Warden, how goes the hour?
You close it down.
I closed it down, and I said, okay, everybody leave the room with the exception of A and B.
Yeah.
And we handled it.
Right.
And it was it got squashed and it got taken care of.
Was it like in Bloodsport? Tong,
Kumate. I was actually just watching that movie the other day. I love
rubbing
that.
your hands in broken glass.
Oh, that was Kickboxer.
Kickboxer. Thank
Yes.
you.
Bloodsport was Kumite with Chung Lee.
Yeah, Tong Po was the one who, and that's right, Kickboxer, where he was kicking the freaking metal pylon,
concrete,
the concrete pylon.
And the concrete's
Tong Po. Remember, he started his up here.
Yes,
Hands
in
raised.
the Capoeira pose, I believe it is, or it could be Muay Thai, one of the two.
But anyway, getting back around to it, I mean, at some point you're gonna have to get the Grand Lodge involved, and then let them
If
make
it's that extreme,
If
yeah.
it's that extreme. But I just want to kind of round this horn with all this can be avoided by simply walking up to the master as a brother and telling him, hey.
I don't think you meant to come off as an a-hole, but you're coming off as an a-hole right now.
That's right.
Right?
Listen,
hey, I
man,
don't think you meant what... this came off bad.
and don't do it in front of other brothers.
No.
The best thing, and I've always said, you praise in public, you scold behind closed doors.
Right.
If you're being a
douche?
if you're being a la douche,
The man is a douche, yes? You understand
hey man,
douche?
can I talk to you real quick?
Yes.
Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Bring him in the back room and be like, hey man, this is the deal. This is what's I had to do it with Worshipful Master Steve, not Worshipful Master Steve Saxton. He didn't do anything wrong. It's just a conversation that me and him needed to have that I was red hot about.
Yeah.
A couple meetings ago, and we sat in the other room away from everybody else. And of course, when a said brother came in, I looked at him. I said, "Get out." You already know who I'm talking about. I'm going to continue on with that. So get out.
I have a pretty good idea.
Yeah, the one that tends to just kind of pop up out of nowhere, just like in the middle of a conversation. You'll just see,
Hey!
pops his head up. You're like, go away. Anyway, but you have a conversation on the side. You tell him basically, man, here's how I'm feeling. This is how I feel you're being, and knock it off. Or tell him, can you please,
Right. I'm taking offense to this.
taking offense. Yeah, taking offense.
And it's really bothering me and ruining my experience here.
right.
I don't. The person's got to be a real a-hole. If a brother comes to him and say, hey, what you said before, you might not have meant it this way, but here's how it came off. I took offense, and it's actually impacting my experience here. I can't think of a Mason that would be like, yeah, whatever.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen.
I can't imagine. I don't know of a brother that would react that way.
I know of one, but we don't gotta get into.
Besides you.
No, not me.
No,
Oh, no.
I kid.
I was pretty. I had a goal. I had a plan, and one of the things I always did is I articulated what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. I never actually just said, we're going to add Saturdays, and
Right.
let's have a vote. I explained to him why. Listen, man,
Here's the why.
I have a guy who works in Sikorsky who is working second shift. He works with a lot of second shifters, and he's and again, this isn't something that just came out of the blue. It was Worshipful Brother Phil Miller.
Yep.
He worked at Sikorsky, he was second shift, and he's man, there's so many guys at work that want to join. They found that I'm a Mason. They want to join. He's like, but the problem is we don't have any. They can't make it because they're all second shifters.
Right.
So I said, well, how many guys you talking? He's like, oh no, like 6, 7. What? Okay.
Right.
And what ended up happening was, I brought it to the lodge, and I said, listen, Worship Brother Phil can't be here tonight because it's third Thursday, and it's 7 o'clock at night, and he works. Second shift. He wanted, he's got some people that want to be Masons, but the problem is that they just can't make the meeting nights because it's on Thursday. So one of the things I'd like to do is I'd like to add a first Saturday. And, everybody pointed it out. They all had their opinions. And the majority, again, these are older brothers, that were in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. They're one of their biggest complaints was, well, it's the weekend. Saturdays are a family day.
Then don't come.
I said Saturdays, not Sundays, but whatever. I said, I said, well, understand if we want to get people into this lodge, because, one of the things was, well, you see, the lodge, we're probably going to be merging in because we don't got the people. Well, here I'm giving you an opportunity to bring people
merge,
in.
Protect,
not merge.
Preserve your charter.
Preserve your charter.
Lodge.
Preserve the money that we had. Preserve, who we are, our identity. And, then they give me shit for it. But in the end, even though a lot of them voted against it, but the vote carried because of the people I was bringing in, and what I ended up doing was I told Phil, I said, listen, I know that, we don't have the Saturdays yet because they're not allowing me to do anything other than third Thursday, but can you get them to start coming to lodge, take, and again, it was one meeting a month. Can they take a meeting a month until we get them up to Master Mason, and then they'll have the power to vote,
and then we could change
and then we can change it. And I ended up passing the vote by a simple majority of, I think it was like 6-5. And you've been hit by, you've been struck by smooth puppetry.
Going to bring it up to Michael Jackson stuff.
But these are the ways you change it. But for me, I wasn't a douche as a master. I just pretty much explained, this is what needs to happen if we want to survive here. It's kind of like what you did, Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday. You just explained, this is what needs to happen.
This is the work, and I think there were a lot of people in the room that probably, most of them at this point have heard me like a broken record give the history of what's going on. But I think there were a lot of people like, oh my God, we're finally just doing something with this. Yes, whatever you want to do, because we're finally doing something. Mm-hmm. So I think, and they understood, and if they had questions, we addressed their questions. Right. And everybody at the end, everybody was like, "Yeah, sounds good. Let's do that," because it makes sense.
and realistically, as long as you're, I believe, and this will flip this out to the other side of a master or an officer or something along those lines. It's all in your tone.
Yes.
All in your tone.
So don't text it.
You know what I mean? It's fair point.
Text or email.
It's all in your tone and the way you present things. If you present things as informative and, hey guys, we're a team, we need to work together, it's one thing. If you present it as in, this is our plan, rather than my plan,
right?
It gives every person a sense of control. Or a sense of belonging, if you will.
Right. You get that buy-in.
When you come across as a master who is, this is my way or the highway, this is the way we're doing it, and you're going to like it because it's my year and I can do whatever the hell I want, it's probably going to fall on deaf ears and you're probably going to have a lot of pushback. And I'm talking about for the dumb shit. Because understand, master may have absolute power, but every time you go to vote for something, and you have the entire lodge go, all in favor, oppose, and the entire lodge raises their hand for anything you try to propose, you're going to lose your sway real fast. You're going to get nothing done. And ultimately, it's going to hurt the lodge because even if it's something that's good.
It might be a great idea. They might even agree with it on a normal day, but they're like, no. He came up with this.
No. In a sense.
Yeah. We'll do this next year, and somebody else will get credit for it.
Masters rule and govern. Yeah, they do.
With regularity.
Yeah. And yeah, you rule the lodge, you open and close it, but realistically, you govern the actions of the lodge and how they're taking place during lodge, but good luck trying to get money to pass through.
Your will and pleasure only covers so much.
And
there's
if you
certain things that have to go to a vote.
Yeah. Just and for those Masons that are and in particular this brother that fired this basically question in, or how would I handle this, or how would we handle this? Understand, let this be a learning. If this said master is like this, make sure you don't be like this. Take everything as a learning experience.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a master or a grandmaster or whatever position that is ruling over the rest of them, if he's ruling over it like a tyrant, if you will, dictator. Just make sure you learn by that lesson. I mean, it's a good lesson to learn. It's by the mistakes of others.
Right. No, I agree, Dad. What'd you say? I didn't catch that. I'll have to go back to the replay. I'll have to go back on the replay.
I'll tell you afterward. I'm just being funny. But with that being said, I think we covered this pretty well.
Yeah, I think before we get repetitive and or say something that we probably should talk about on the air.
Right.
Yeah, I think we cover. Again, just the quick recap. Yep. Whisper good counsel.
Correct.
Talk to the officers of the lodge. Talk to the past masters. Rule out that it's not just you. And then at that point, you might have to involve somebody with purple at your Grand Lodge. But exhaust all other options, because you don't want to blow up a lodge. And you don't want it to blow up in your face, where people have told you, hey, it's not the master, it's you. You're taking it the wrong way. And you keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Then you're going to lose.
Said it before. I hate eating crow. It tastes like shit. And you don't, always check yourself before you check anybody else.
Check yourself before you wreck
yourself. That's damn right.
Good advice.
Ruling like a baiter. What does that mean? Master.
Got it. Right. I believe
very
that's
nice.
Where he's going.
Worshipful to Greg Schultz. And
still has a sense of humor. Way to go, brother Greg.
Andrew Cohen, we're going to answer a couple last questions before we shut this down, because we got about 5 minutes. So if you guys got anything you want to pop in the comments, I'll read it and answer it or respond to it. Andrew Colvin, not sure if you talked about it, but what are some of your ideas getting Masons who haven't been active recently back in Lodge? Yeah, I know you're wrapping it up. No, you're good. Keep going, Andrew. Ways to get Masons back in Lodge. I always prefer the burlap sack and the white van, but it says free candy on the side. No, joking aside.
Here's what I would do, and it's worked on me, and I know other people. It's worked for me.
Chloroform?
No, I prefer. Never mind.
Molly!
Do yourself a favor. Call that brother and talk about nothing Lodge related. Ask them how they're doing, how their family is, how things are going. Do they need anything? And end the call. No discussion of dues. No discussion of, hey, when are you coming back? No discussion of anything other than, hey, I'm checking in on you. I haven't seen you in a while. You good? Okay, great. Hey, it's good talking to you. Hope it's well. If you ever need anything, we're here. I'll talk to you soon. Yeah. Do that a couple times. You're going to rekindle that flame. You don't want your first contact to that brother to be, hey, we haven't seen you in a while. Oh, yeah, you're coming back. Hey, by the way, you haven't paid your dues yet this year.
Yeah, that's instantly.
That's going to turn them off. Just go in, no strings attached. And then if they do start to come back, one, recognize that they're back. Hey, it's good. Great to see you, brother. We haven't seen you. Great to see you here. Go out of your way to make them feel welcome. Get their input during Lodge. And maybe, just maybe, give them a small job. Hey, brother, can you help me? Tyler's not here tonight. Can you help me set up the lodge? Would you mind sticking around at the end and help me put stuff away? Yep. Just little things. Get them involved. Start small, and then see what happens.
Oscar says free pins.
Well, I know where you can get a pin for as little as $5 a month, and that would be by joining Patreon.
So, that's a good idea, Joe. My thing, and I'm sorry, it's freaking table lodges. Table lodges and past master nights, to me. Because when you honor, or even awards nights, pin ceremonies, and I know Oscar's being funny, but free pins. One of the things we do in Connecticut, and I don't know if this is every jurisdiction, but we give out pins for every, 5 years? We give a Masonic pin out that says, it's got the square and compass sign. 5 years Mason, 10 years Mason, 15 years Mason, blah, 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 all the way down the list. And you actually tell, hey, call them up. Hey, brother. Hey, just wanted to let you know we got we have a 5-year, 10-year pin for you. We're going to present it to you in Lodge on Thursday. If you want to come down, we'll present it to you. We're going to do some refreshments afterward. cake, coffee, booze, whatever the hell, if your lodge is allowed to do booze. We'd love to see you. Have come down.
Right.
We'll pin you and you carry on your merry way. Table lodges. To me, I love table lodges. They are my absolute favorite because it's lodge, but not really. It's lodge with doing toasts, like similar to what we do.
Very similar to what we do.
Very similar to what we do.
It's fun. It's
Think
festive.
about. I mean, please. Free pin. Still waiting for mine. Oscar.
Rafferty. Bombard Rafferty.
Bombard Rafferty. Yeah.
At Brother Raff.
At Brother Ref on Discord. Anyway, just getting back to it. What the hell was I saying? Something along the lines of
Table lodges.
Table
fun.
lodge.
It's lodge,
Yes,
not really
it's
lodge.
lodge, but not really lodge. You show up. You have drinks. You laugh and talk. You hang out. That's what you got to do. Is you got to get these brothers to want to come back and hang out.
I've never in my life
And it's a lot of fun.
laughed as much as I have laughed at table lodges.
Oh my god!
I mean, there's been times where like I felt like I had a full-on workout because I was sore from laughing so hard.
Oh yeah,
It was such a great time.
We did one at Morningstar, and one of our brothers, Mike Clavarino, he went to go sit down and he just whiffed
I
the
haven't seen
chair.
him in a while.
Whiffed the chair and landed on the ground. And actually, I think I've said it before on this podcast. I wrote in the minutes of that table
Then it
lodge.
went down.
He showed us how the law of gravity works. Like, granted, you read back, 20 years from now, they're gonna be like, "What the hell? It's a table lodge? What the hell does this mean?" He tried to show us how the law of gravity works. Oh, I get it. Because we can't write that he had a little too much soda, if you catch my drift.
Right.
And
Right.
but the Masons will get a good laugh out of that in the future ages when they read those minutes.
Morningstar hasn't had a table lodge in a while, huh?
We shut it down for COVID.
That's
So,
true.
We were
I've
doing
never
them.
been.
Yeah, we were
I've never
doing
been
them
to a
up there.
Morningstar table lodge.
Oh, they're a shit show when we have them. Table lodges, pinning ceremonies, Christ, we're doing October 30th. We're going to be right over here when Santa gets his ass off the train.
Yeah.
We're going to be down here giving out whatever the hell we give out. I don't even know what the hell they're doing this year. Giving out candy or, I don't know, whatever. Nippers to the parents. I have no idea what the hell we do.
And think of events too, like that are more family friendly.
Yeah.
If you do something like do a lodge movie night or something where they can bring their wife and kids and offer some food, keep the cost down low. Where it's like, hey, we're going to start it at 6:30.
Yep.
This way the kids can get home in decent bedtime.
Right.
We're going to have this and this. It's $5 a head. Oh wow, family of 4, I can go out and do something for $20.
Yeah.
You can't go to McDonald's for $20,
Right.
and that's just ordering for me. But make it worth their while. Make it something that's inclusive, and then they won't feel like they're giving up something to go to lodge. They could just work it into their family routine. And you may see those brothers still only a couple times a year, but you got to start somewhere. Keep them active.
Want to also add one last thing, and then I think we'll probably shut this down. But if you're talking about Masons who haven't been active recently, we can't forget about our older brothers. And one of the things that I had done, again, if I can if Seymour's here on the wall,
Seymour Butts.
and Naugatuck's here, right? So Naugatuck's just slightly north
A
of...
couple exits up.
Couple
Route
exits
8.
up.
Yeah.
Dave Sorman, who is elderly, can't really drive at night, he lives in Watertown. So you have Seymour, Naugatuck, Watertown.
Watertown's up there. Yes.
So I went all the way up to Watertown just to get him, to bring him down to Seymour, to drive him back.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to attend lodge and had no way of getting there.
And you have to step up and do that occasionally.
gotta
It
step
doesn't have
up
to be
and
the
do
same
that.
brother every time, because I know
No.
it can be. There are times where lodge is over and you're like,
Yep.
I just want to go home.
Yeah.
Like, I just need to do some. But
Especially when you get that one guy, worship the master, stands up and asks the 15,000th question of the night. When you just want to, if you had a blowgun, you would just, like, right across the...
oh, no more questions.
No more questions. He fell asleep. Worship master, you please proceed to close. But you might have to go get a brother. Bring him to the lodge. Say, hey man, because a lot of the brothers are like, oh, I can't make it. It's kind of dark. Can't see at night. Yeah, blah 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 blah.
And the best thing you could do is send one of your newer Masons to go get that brother, because that car ride
Yep.
there's going to be a lot of interaction, and you know, Masons, especially older Masons, everyone I've met, they love to talk. They love to tell stories, and that younger Mason is going to learn something. They're either going to learn something about that brother, learn something about the lodge they didn't know, or at the very least, they're going to be like, wow, this was a cool experience. Maybe somebody will do this for me someday, and I'll be on the other side of this conversation.
Okay. What do you say, Joey?
Let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up. Thank you for all tuned in. Thank you for our Discord and Patreon. If you've been tuning in and you haven't, like, share, subscribe, YouTube, and we appreciate it. It helps us out tremendously.
Awesome.
We'll be back Thursday?
I think so.
I should be here. I should be good for Thursday. Should be.
Nothing that I can think of at this time.
All right. We should be here on Thursday. We'll come up with something else.
Cool.
I'm thinking the topic of, I don't know if we've covered it, but I think of new inventive ways to make masonry degrees more interesting, if you will.
Interesting.
But let us know if you guys have anything in the comments you want to think was going to hear. Love to hear it. But for the Freemasons podcast, I am Right Worshipful Brother George Marjorie, signing off.
Worshipful Brother Joe, signing off.
Worshipful again. I'm kidding. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Have a good night.
Remember that tweet?
I gotta fly by here. Thanks, Oscar. We appreciate it. Have a good night.
Night.